Welcome to the podcast Living by Oak Values. My name is Robert, and I host this podcast with my friend Gary. Join us as we dive deep and share meaningful stories, discuss values that shape our lives. We explore how we use these values to guide us through life, shaping our decisions, relationships, and raising our kids. We are embracing a journey of personal growth, navigating our own paths, committed to living by these values and passing them on to our kids. We are thrilled to have you here and can't wait to share our latest episode. Whether you're a longtime listener or just now discovering us, welcome. Check us out at northmancoaching.com. Introduce yourself, leave comments, and you're welcome to join our community, Northman Legacy Crew, and let us know what topics you're most interested in hearing about. Sign up with your email for behind-the-scenes sneak peeks and exciting updates. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and happy listening.
All right, guys, so today is going to be different than normal. We're going to be comparing and contrasting two different values, which actually make up a third value. So boldness and bravery are both values that make up the value of courage, but there are subtle differences between boldness and bravery. Boldness is defined as the willingness to take risks and act with confidence. Having a bold life means living with courage, confidence, and the willingness to take risks. It means stepping out of your comfort zone and pursuing your passions and embracing new experiences. A bold life is all about being authentic, standing up for what you believe in, and seizing opportunities for personal growth. It is a life that is vibrant, adventurous, and filled with purpose.
Then the other value is bravery, defined as strength to carry on in spite of danger or challenge. Bravery is the ability to confront danger, pain, or uncertainty without hesitation. So a brave life is facing your fears, embracing challenges, and taking action despite uncertainty or potential risk. That was the same thing over again, brother. Those two lines say the exact same thing.
Which one?
Bravery is the ability to confront danger, pain, or uncertainty without hesitation. So a brave life is facing your fears, embracing challenges, taking actions despite uncertainty or potential risk. Those two are the exact same thing.
Yeah, you're right. They are not the exact. They are the same. There are two different words in all of them, and I think that's good because not only is it going to appeal to more people, but if you're really listening, you're going to call us out.
Yeah. So it involves being courageous in the face of adversity, standing up for what is right, and pushing beyond your comfort zone. Living brave life means being willing to make difficult decisions, to pursue your dreams, and not letting fear hold you back. It is about being resilient, persevering through difficult times, continuously growing and evolving as a person. Amen. I could preach on that one.
All right, Rob. Oh, real quick, for the listeners.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Northman Coaching and the Oak Value Cards.
Our discussion is more about how they are same, but the subtle differences they both mean. And together, they could both, if you both have them in your life, it is courage. Gary, would you like to start us off with boldness?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you said that because I didn't put those two together. Well, we did, but to make the one. But I definitely have a courageous life. I live a bold and brave life, more bold than brave, but nevertheless, I take risks whenever they're there, and I take risks with confidence because I don't want to. This might come out wrong. I don't want to look stupid. So if I play like I know what I'm doing and I go just give it my all, I guess it's kind of like fake it till you make it almost. So, I'm very authentic and I stand up for what I believe in all the time. Any opportunity I can that will help me or help somebody else that I can do something, I'm there. I'm all about it.
The first thing that comes to my mind, how as a kid, I used to be told to don't take risk, to do things the smart way. And both of these are about taking risk in spite of the danger.
They are. I feel like we're told when we're younger to do things the smart way or the safe way
Yep,
because our parents don't want us to get hurt.
correct. But both of these are a path that you may get hurt.
Yes, you could get hurt crossing the street.
Right.
You could get hurt playing it safe.
Yes. They both encourage, well, not encourage, but are about taking risk that you may get hurt.
Yes.
In spite of danger and taking risk, both of them, yes, it takes courage to do both of them. But boldness is like you may die if you take that risk. Or
Yes.
bravery is you're doing it in spite of the risk that is inherent right there.
Yes.
So
I agree with all of this.
how did this value come in our lives when this is one that they teach you in school? Don't do this.
I honestly, I'll tell you that I don't think that I started living this courageous or bold or brave lifestyle until my divorce.
Mm.
And I feel like I say that on every podcast episode, but that is truly when I started living. I mean, I lived as a kid. I did things when I was young that was stupid and bold, and I don't know about brave, but there was still some thought behind it. So, but when I got divorced and I picked up on surfing again and hiking and doing extreme things, and I could get hurt and I could die, but I also want my daughter to look at me and see that I have the balls to do what I want to do. And if that's the way that I'm supposed to go out, then that's what it is.
I had a similar story. I
Mhm.
went to Canada and walked on a frozen lake. And the guys that were with me thought I was crazy, but it was like a southern boy walking on a lake. It's like, wow, that's magic to me. And I was like, if I'm going to die, this is one way to die kind of deal. It is just, it was willing to take the risk and the challenge to walk on that lake because it is a cool story that I can use and pass down to other guys and say, hey, listen, actually, I don't, besides a handful of people, I don't tell many people that story, to tell you the truth.
I've heard it twice.
Right.
That makes three.
Yeah, this makes three. Yeah, I was sitting there going, wait a second, I don't tell too many people that. But yeah, it is a cool story to tell, to share.
Absolutely.
But at the
So,
same time, it was dangerous and it was risky. So,
so on that note, take it from a mailman who walks on frozen water on a regular and has fallen down quite often. It hurts.
yeah.
It hurts. But I want to talk about this work that we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
This men's work, this professional growth. When is it that you experience growth?
When I took the risk to change who I was.
Okay. So I was actually looking for a definition, but you actually
Oh,
much better with what you said because you were willing to take risks. So you were
yes.
stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. I
And
remember.
everybody that does this work,
Yeah.
if you stay in that comfort zone, you're stagnant. You do not grow. You do not become
Mhm.
the man or the person that you want to be.
Yeah. And it took it really was bold to sit there and sign up for a men's group in the middle of COVID
Mhm.
to listen to a guy tell you that you're okay and you need to read these books, and it slowly eats into you to change. And then you're like, daggum, I really am needing to change something in my life.
So, and if you had stopped and played it safe, followed the rules, and weighed out the good and the bad and all that, you would have missed so many opportunities on being bold and being brave.
And I wouldn't have had you as a friend.
This is true.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be on this podcast. People would not be learning from us or listening to us
Correct. Yeah.
and the other thing is, as far as like the boldness, the ability to live with courage and confidence and to take risks. So this whole life coaching, we've been doing this for, no offense, been around a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, not so much anymore, but the first 6 months or so, man, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I wasn't a life coach. I couldn't really help anybody. And as I'm doing it, and I love it. I love helping people. It's just, I took those steps. I was bold enough to take those steps to know that I was walking into something completely unknown, and I seized it all.
The bravery kicks in is to keep going. That's where
And
the bravery part kicks in.
yeah,
Sure, the boldness is to say, yes, I'm going to do something different. But the bravery is to say, I'm going to keep carrying on, even though I don't feel worthy enough, or even though I don't see the results right away.
mm-hmm.
And that's the bravery part of this, is that the boldness is to start it. The bravery keeps it going.
Yes, the follow through. I mean, and how many times have we had no clients making no money? No one listens to the podcast or the videos on YouTube or whatever, and we're like, oh, what's going on? We should just, you know what? We're done. Let's quit. We could have easily done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we were brave enough to know to say, forget it. We can keep going. You know what? If we don't make money, if we don't have clients, if we don't have listeners, I think I want to say you too, but I'm speaking for myself. I have this passion that's burning inside of me to do this work.
Yeah.
And just talk it out, you know? And if no one's listening, that's fine. Yeah. Whatever.
The other thing I notice is men who come into this work,
mm-hmm.
you constantly tell them to take steps forward, keep moving forward. You will get through hell if you keep moving forward, and you'll come out on the other side. And that takes a lot of bravery to trust that other guys are telling you, keep moving forward. When you're hurting, you just want to curl up in a ball and cry. But all these guys are telling you, keep moving forward. Even if it's small steps, keep moving forward. And to do that and to watch guys come out on the other side, it's like, wow, look how brave it was to do that.
Absolutely. And you forget about the other guys. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And think back, look at yourself and realize that the person you're looking at, that is the guy that had none of this.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife just left you. I'm the same as me. My wife left me. And to see where I am now. I think I've grown up and became the man I want to be in the last 6 years of my life. I don't know what I was doing the first 40 years. But the last 6 years is where it's been.
Yeah.
And on the note of, the guys that come into this work and they have to have the courage, and to listen to us about keep moving forward. They could have not had any courage, boldness, or bravery.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that when my wife left me, I'm going to tell you the first week, 2 weeks maybe, I had no courage. I had no balls. I had nothing. It was her fault.
Mm-hmm.
100% her fault. I was not to blame for any of this. But then as I got the courage to find help, to actually, it was to get her to come back to me. But I found mentor through this, and I found out it was not all her. Shocking. It was me. It was actually a lot of me. And I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't cheat. I didn't, I was a good husband. Things, we grew apart, but I could have blamed her for all this. But I took the courage and the bravery and the boldness, and I sought help, and I got it. And now I'm giving the help.
That is deep, brother.
It's a great story. Just saying it to you right there, and looking at the mirror and knowing that 6 years ago, this month, right now in July, I was happy. Life was good. My marriage is great. But if you had asked my wife, how's your marriage? She would have told you something totally different than what I just said.
Yeah.
So that story of coming from that guy who didn't know what he didn't know, to the guy who is talking to people right now, about how to live your life in a better way for you.
Coming from a similar background,
mm-hmm.
I know 3 years ago, I couldn't have told you the difference between bravery and boldness, or how to use them in my life. I understood bravery might have been a soldier going off to war, but that's only like a fourth of what bravery really is. And boldness, that was a font. That's not a...
Yep. Absolutely.
But I could not have told you these values. And now that we're discussing them, and it's like, wow, these are freaking powerful values that just complement each other very well. And it's surprising how it's like people take values for granted, but just knowing that you had to use those values to get to a different stage in your life, a life where you can turn around and say, I appreciate what I had to go through to get here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know of any guy that's doing this work or done this work that didn't see this. There's plenty of guys that are still married, but they had troubles. But you really have to go through hell. You have to, have your hair on fire to, hit rock bottom to know that it's time to climb up.
Yeah, but a lot of guys still can't tell you that that's bravery and boldness to walk
No,
through hell.
it absolutely is. I
Yeah.
don't think I could have told you that 2 days ago.
Mhm.
But reading this and discussing this, and actually, listen to what you say, and then you compare it to what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, that is bravery and boldness to go through the fire and come out the other side.
Yes.
You could have just laid down and burned, quit, whatever.
Yeah.
No. A real man is bold. A real man is brave, and we have courage.
Wow.
That was deep.
I think it kind of changed on us a little bit.
All right. So since we got so deep there, Rob, why did the person living boldly bring a ladder into the bar?
Bring a ladder into the bar? I don't
Yes.
know.
Because they wanted to reach new heights of adventure and take their shots.
Wow.
And take their shots. You got to get the whole shots part.
That's
why it's a
pretty
bar.
good.
Yeah, you like that one?
I do like that one. And
Ah.
I can see that.
All right. So I also have a joke for bravery. So that was for boldness.
All right. What you got?
Why did the person living bravely become a baker?
A brave baker? I don't know. Why would you be a brave baker?
Become a baker? A brave baker? He became
Yeah.
a brave baker because they kneaded the dough, faced the heat, and conquered their fears of yeast.
Wow. That's corny, but that's good.
That's terrible. Actually, I liked it because it reminded me of the donuts that we had when you were here.
Yes.
Good old, give him a shout out. Maybe they'll pass.
Yeah.
Neat Donuts in Providence, Rhode Island.
They were actually delicious donuts.
Dude, they were amazing.
in a very cool building.
Yeah.
The Spoon Factory. Yeah. What advice would you give somebody? Let's stick with the one that you started out with, boldness.
Sure.
If somebody came to you and said, hey, I want to be a little bit more bold in my life.
Okay.
How would you tell them to do that or recommend?
Well, I can recommend a couple of things. But when I'm done telling you what I would recommend, I have to do a side note.
All right.
Number one, I would recommend them stepping out of their comfort zone. If they don't feel good, or they're sweating, or they're scared, then they're in the right spot. That is the start. But when you're scared, say you're scared. Be you, be authentic. Don't lie. If you're scared, say you're scared, but don't quit. So I think that's what I would say to start off. But here's my little side thing. I want to make it very, very clear. There is a fine, fine line between boldness and stupidity. And my advice for that part is don't be stupid. If you feel like playing in traffic is bold, it's not. It's stupid. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you want to cross the street and the little, white wavy hand thing just turn to the red walking man, that's bold to run and do that, maybe, but it could end stupidly. That's all I got for traffic stuff, I guess. But I would say, get to that comfort zone, or get out of that comfort zone. Be scared. Feel awkward. That's when it's going to happen. So what advice would you give to people that wanted to be more brave?
I would almost recommend finding somebody to help keep you accountable. Because when you take on a challenge that is dangerous and very challenging, you're going to want to quit. And you need somebody there to support you and say, hey, you got this. I believe in you. That little bit of motivation could be the one step you need the next day.
Yeah.
To keep going. And it is a slow process. So don't expect bravery to come overnight. that is something that has to take time.
I'm gonna have to challenge you on that one.
All right.
What about it has to take time? So let me help you with that real quick.
All right.
All right. So bravery is the ability to confront danger, pain, or uncertainty without hesitation, right? It's all about facing your fears, embracing challenges, and taking
Yep.
action despite uncertainty and potential risks. So when I was in the
Yes.
military, we went off to war. It didn't take but about a day to act brave. I'm not saying that I was brave, but I was acting brave day one. And it didn't take long at all once I started acting it. But also, you have to understand that this is a
Mhm.
not your normal situation. Is a life threatening kind of thing going on. So knowing that your life could be on the line and you are acting brave, it doesn't take long to be actually made that become you.
Yes, but it took a little bit of time.
Yeah. I mean, you say it'll take time. Like, if you start living bravely right now, even not with your life on the line, I think you will see results fairly quickly.
Yeah.
In the sense, like, all right, so with this work that we do, we taught that we should be leading the situation, leading whatever the situation or whatever we're doing as a man, right?
Hmm.
I know that when I was married, I was weak, and what my wife wanted for dinner. She asked me what I want for dinner. Whatever you want. Where do you want to go to dinner? I don't care. Whatever you want to do. I was so wish-washy,
Yep.
and I actually remember after we split and I started doing this work, she had asked me a question. She was maybe picking my daughter up or something. I don't know what she was, but nevertheless, she had asked me a question, and I had my answer, and it was a firm answer. And I remember her looking at me, and her head turned like a dog almost. You can't see me, and she's like, "Who are you? Who is
Yep.
this? And where have you been?" And that's when you kick yourself in the balls, and you're like, "Why wasn't this taught to me earlier in life?" But nevertheless, I was being brave, and within one day, my spouse had noticed, holy, he just stood up for himself.
Hmm.
That's odd, but that's the kicker. Like, that's a turn on. If you are brave enough to stand your ground
Yep.
and not be wish-washy, with a woman or the opposite sex or whatever, it's a turn on.
I agree. So
But as you said earlier, it takes time. Like, as time passes and you do this on a regular, it will be, I don't know if you would even call it brave or bold or anything, because it would be you. That's life. That's how you live.
maybe that's where I was going with that. Is
That
that
makes sense.
it becomes part of you as it carries on, but
Hmm.
it takes some time to incorporate it. I mean, yes, you could just step out and do it. And yes, that's brave. I guess it's more boldness to take the risk, to
Right.
start taking the risk. And then it's bravery to keep carrying on. So,
Yes. But and as far as the time goes, like, you will feel different quickly, but it'll be hard because people will still see you as the person you were.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's where it's taking time, but you have to, face that adversity, and you have to keep doing what you're doing. So, and then eventually, like I said, I don't know if you call it brave or bold or just life. Like, I live an authentic life. Do I tell people that? No,
You've
I'm just
told
me.
like everybody I heard
I
that.
Okay, maybe I did tell everybody that. But I don't walk around and tell everybody every day wherever I'm going. I live my life. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Is it authentic? Yes, but it's just my life. That's all it is.
Yeah. Very good values. I like
Yeah.
them. And I'm glad we kind of did a compare and contrast, because even when you brought it up, I could not have told you the two differences, because I truly thought they were the same.
Yeah.
And I
I
actually
mean,
like knowing the difference now. I can approach somebody and say, hey, be bold and bravery will come.
and when it does, you
Yeah.
have courage.
When it does, you have courage. That,
So,
yeah, that's a perfect little thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, to our listeners, if you guys need a boost in motivation and self improvement, then check out our Oak value cards and empower yourself with our motivational and insightful core value cards. And if you guys enter the promo code today, BBC, you'll get 10% off your order. So, Rob, you have a couple of quotes for us?
Yeah, well, the first one is by Brene Brown. And then anybody who's listening, if you haven't read any of her books or seen her videos, she's very good. She says that vulnerability is hard and it's scary and it feels dangerous, but it is not as hard or scary or as dangerous as getting to the end of our lives and having to ask ourselves, what if I would have shown up? Yeah. It wasn't until I started doing this work that question is actually very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a marriage, I never would have thought about that.
Mm.
But afterwards, I think about that a lot more often than I care to admit, actually. Even sometimes I go with guys and it's like, hey, you want to jump off the cliff and paraglide down to the valley? And I'm like, oh, that sounds stupid and kind of deal. But at the same time, what if I wouldn't have shown up? What am I missing out? Just in this one little action,
Yep.
what am I missing out? So yeah, I think about this question a little bit more often than I care to admit. What about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking my brain's going crazy wild right now because it's gonna get weird. Here we go. Back to what I was saying earlier when I was married, and I, for the first time after my separation, that I had stood up for myself. She said, who are you? Where have you been this whole time? Clearly saying you didn't show up.
Yes.
So here's where it gets weird. What if I did show up? We'd be together still, but I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. You wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. I would not have done any men's work. Granted, the fact that if I was showing up, I don't know. But I still wouldn't have done half. I wouldn't have done half the men's work that I've done. Wouldn't have helped the people out that I've helped. Wouldn't have met you. Wouldn't have gone on all these great trips. So, did I show up? That's a question.
Good question. Very good question.
I mean, I showed up for the work by not showing up for the marriage.
Question for the readers out there too.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you show up?
Are you showing up as a brave person?
Yeah.
Are you showing up as a bold person?
Yeah.
Are you showing up with courage? And if you're not showing up with any of those, is it because you are showing up for more deeper work? Unless you just don't realize it and you just don't show up at all and don't fix nothing.
The last thing that usually we talk about is how to teach your kids these values. And unlike our childhood, where they taught us not to take risk, how would you teach your kid boldness and bravery?
Are you asking me?
Yes, of course I'm asking
you. So I do try not to allow my daughter to take too many risks, I guess, unless I'm with her.
Mm-hmm.
But I show her how to live boldly. For instance, we were at the beach a couple weeks ago, and there was low tide, and there was this giant blue crab, and she was so excited for this crab. It was like, it was so big, and she's like, "Dad, we need a stick or a net or something to pick it up." And I'm like, "You can pick it up. You just gotta grab it by the back so that the claws can't get you." And she looked at me like I was crazy, and I showed her, and I went down and I picked up the crab, and I picked it up and I held it in my hand, and she was like, "Can I try?" I put the crab back down. I said, "Make sure you're behind it, and you go in behind the back leg so that it cannot reach you." So there was risk, but I taught her that the risks were minimal, especially if you do it properly. How about you?
Well, the only thing recently, of course, my daughter is definitely going through this stage because she's learning how to drive for sure at 16. Took her up to Charlotte, and she drove from South Carolina to Charlotte. In Charlotte, I don't know if you've been up there lately, but Charlotte, the traffic is horrible, downtown Charlotte. And watching her bravely take on this traffic, which is stop, go, and we don't have it here in South Carolina where it's just that bad. It took boldness for her to be willing to be in that traffic like that when she doesn't have experience.
Did it take boldness or bravery?
It took boldness at first because she's not really a person that likes to drive. She could have quit.
So she was brave.
Yeah, she was brave. Yeah,
and bold
and courage right there.
I give you the courage to be in the car with her. That's the courage goes to you.
But
you get the courage.
It was definitely an adventure, and it was like a first time. And she was very patient. You could tell that she was just sitting there concentrating the whole time. And I'm like, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I would be too.
She did a good job. Yeah, it was definitely out of her comfort zone. So
That's good.
If you would like to go further or deeper on this topic, reach out to us. We want to know and hear your powerful story. Chat or connect with us by booking your free session on our website, northmancoaching.com. And folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. And of course, thank you all out there for listening. We're so glad you could join us today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, Living by Oak Values. And if you feel generous, leave us a review. It really helps us out and keeps these conversations going. For more updates and exclusive content, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or visit our website, northmancoaching.com. And we'll be back next week with another exciting episode that you don't want to miss. Until then, keep discussing your values, embracing the journey. Take care and stay authentic.